上午好，我是侯烨。那接下来我就开始我的分享，主要是讲。
Hello everyone, I'm Hou Ye, and I will be talking about the status quo of China's coal industry and some of our projections of this year's market. And this is the industrial chain profits. In terms of profit, I think it is the direct result for market operations. So let's start with profit. And from the picture, you can see very clearly that from 2021 to now, especially in the second half of 2021, the profit scheme of our industry, the profit continues to gather in the upstream. To be more specific, we focus on the coal industry's profit as well as electricity and ferrous enterprises. And the number of 2022 is listed as follow. And the total profit scheme is of coal, it's about twice of the lower stream industry. So in terms of the total loss, here is the number. We can clearly see this redistribution of industrial profit is moving upstream clearly. The reason for that is some of the factors are historical, and some of them are the incidents that took place in 2021. To promote the reshaping of the ferrous industry, we have issued a lot of policies to ensure the supply side. And here are some of the policy items, and the priority would be implementation and its impact on capacity. And we only look at the incremental capacity after the implementation of the policies. So we'll look at a longer period starting from 2016. On the left-hand side is the situation for the capacity, and on the right-hand side would be the newly added production capacity. From 2016 to 2020, that is one phase, and the second phase would be from 2021 to now. So in terms of the capacity, we can see this clear trend. We also see some newly added production, but this part is really limited. This is the situation of 2016 to 2020, and from 2021, in 2021, we see a clear increase in terms of newly added capacity, whether be it the transformation, the renovation of old coal mines and the discovery of new mines. So from 2021 and 2022, there are not a lot of decapacity compared to the level of 2020. In terms of newly added capacity in 2021 and 2022, the newly added capacity is above 300 million tons. That is about twice the level before the implementation of the policy. In terms of the policy implementation, we can see that this kind of policy to guarantee supply has greatly boosted the capacity in our industry. So these are some of the historical statistics. From this year on, we are expecting new changes as follows. First of all, in terms of the capacity,
In the past, those policy-driven large-scale decapacity, I think, has come to an end. In the future, decapacity will come back to naturally phasing out some dilapidated and backward facilities, and also market-driven decapacity. And those who phased out are those not performing well, and those facing resource depletion. So in the future, decapacity will not go as in the past in terms of quantity, and we believe going from 2023, the potential for capacity increase will not be as significant as in the past. In 2023, we believe that there would be 240 million tons of new capacity, 30 to 40 million of that would be coking coal, and the rest being steam coal. Within the 40 million tons of coking coal, 80 to 90% of that would be a smoke-free coking coal. So, since we are already in the first quarter, let me share with you the observation that we have had in the first quarter. Coking coal has registered 10% of the yearly productivity. That means in the second quarter and in the second half of the year, a lot more capacity would be released. So this is our projection and observation about capacity. Eventually, capacity increase will have to be reflected by the increase of quantity. And now let's talk about our projection about the supply side. Statistically, in the first quarter, coal supply has been kept at a very high level. During the Spring Festival, there was this holiday from places of coal origins, and this year we have had a much longer holiday. But after the holiday, coal mines have quickly resumed their operation at a faster speed, and right now we are at a relatively high level in terms of capacity. And if we look at the monthly data between January and February, steam coal production has increased by 5.8%, so this is a very significant pace of growth. Apart from a speedy resumption of operation, this year we are seeing that the implications of major events and coal mine accidents, they will have lesser impact on the coal production. In March, we have the annual 2 sessions, and in February we had the coal mine incident in Inner Mongolia, both of which have had big ramifications on the coal industry. But the ramification on coal production is not very significant because local coal mines were suspended for only 1 to 2 months. Even when they ceased their or suspend their production, sales was not suspended. So major meetings, events, and coal mine accidents, they are having lesser ramifications on coal production. Given the significant rise of productivity and the rising capacity, we are optimistic about the coal productivity going forward this year. If we look both the supply and demand side, we believe that coal productivity this year could hit 4.6 billion tons, or a year-on-year increase of 1%. In terms of steam coal, we anticipate that the total productivity would hit 3.8 billion tons, And for what's the coking coal supply, the overall capacity may hit 494 million tons, or 1.3% growth year on year. So this is due to market changes, and in the beginning, some of the steam coal may be shrinked. So that is why we believe there would be much higher growth in terms of coking coal. But the gross margin is lesser than that of the productivity. Because we believe very likely demand will go up this year. Then in our analysis, and this is the projection that we have come up with regards to imports, everybody is talking about imports. And we anticipate that import will go up significantly in 2023. If you look at the data in the first 2 months, the increase has been very significant. It's increased by 71% year on year. For coking coal, it has seen a year-on-year increase of 54%. So let's focus on coking coal. From the data in January and February, most of the import increase come from Mongolia and Russia. We estimate that this trend will continue in the next 2 months. For Mongolia, we have Sxcoal, Danqi, Maogu, and Majila, 3 port cities with Mongolia. And for Danqi, Maogu, it's 900 to 1,000 container trucks each day. And for Sxcoal, last year we had the significant shrinking of the traffic, but this year the ports will be resumed, so that is why we believe there will be a significant increase of ports through Sxcoal. So these are the 3 main ports, and recently there has been very stable increase in terms of quantities. As for Mongolian coal, they are improving their facilities, and we anticipate a significant increase of imports from Mongolia. The question lies in how much more coal we can import from Mongolia. And there are some policy targets. And this year, if you look at the policy targets, it's more than 40 million tons. So this is just the policy goal. As for whether we can achieve this target, I believe we have to get down to earth and look at its feasibility and also the market performance. From a feasibility perspective, in the past, we have to look at whether those influencing factors in the past have disappeared. From a feasibility perspective, and these parts, we have to look at their current stock, and 2 of the parts they have already resumed. And given these factors and given history data, we can anticipate very sound import capacity. As for the other considerations, for example, what are the key influencing factors for imports? I believe it has nothing to do with the coal production capacity of Mongolia. I believe the main influencing factor is how much coal that we wish to import from Mongolia. So, comprehensively speaking, we believe that we are going to import around 10 to 15 million tons of coal from Mongolia. So this is just, so you can see that there is still a big gap between reality and the target set from a policy perspective. We can go back in time and take a look at our import from Australia. Prior to 2020, Australia was the main source of coal for China, but because of geopolitical tensions, import from Australia has shrinked. But starting from January and February, China has eased its stance on Australian coal, and in March, we can expect some coals delivered to our ports. So the question lies in how much more coal that we can import from Australia. We will have to look at the price differences between the coking coal here domestically and globally. If you look at the price right now, Australian coal is not showcasing an advantage in terms of price. So that is why the market has not become ready for major large quantity of imports. So this is about imports of coal. In our analysis in 2023, we believe there's great level of certainty that coal imports in 2023 will increase, will surge. This is not dependent upon the port capacity. This is mainly hinging upon the market performance in China. So this is about imports and supply, and now let's come to demand. Let's take a look at the steel and coking industry. For the steel industry, very likely this year we will have overall containment of productivity. From a structural perspective, crude steel production is dominated by a long process steelmaking, while short process steelmaking accounts for a relatively low proportion. According to some documents and policies, by 2025, short process steelmaking shall reach over 15%, and it will reach over 20% by 2030. So we still have a long way to go before achieving these targets. Realistically speaking, the policy of crude steel output cut may continue, and the demand for coking coal and coke may still be pressured. So we may consume some of the proportions of long process steelmaking. In terms of coal production capacity, there are a lot of rumors on the market related to the capacity cut for crude oil. No matter how you interpret the policy, we believe that we may sustain the productivity cut this year. From the steel perspective, you can see that there is still some pressure on coking coal and steam coal. For coking coal, we have to look at the productivity and the capacity of cokes. In 2023, Shanxi province, Inner Mongolia, they will have a major year in cutting their excessive capacity. For Shanxi province, we are cutting a lot of coal mines in Linfen and in Changzhi. There are specific policies for cutting excessive capacities. There is a tight timeline which gives you very specific arrangement. So we believe that between November and early December, there will be a lot of capacity cuts. According to our statistics, there are more than 20 million tons in Shanxi province, and in Inner Mongolia, there are more than 30 million tons of capacity to be cut. Combined together, we hope that this year there are 47 million tons of capacity to be reduced. But even after deducting that, the net productivity of coking coal would still increase this year. And now let's take a look at how those data perform according to our trend. And we believe that this year the coking coal demand will increase by 0.9% year-round. And now let's take a look at our projection about price.
Concerning coking coal, domestic supply has increased and imports are very likely to also increase, but there are some uncertainty in terms of demand, and we still need further observation concerning the sustainability of the rebound of demand. But we believe that this inventory is very low, so that would indicate significant price fluctuations. But this kind of fluctuation compared to last year and the year before last would be very comparatively mild. So this is some of my projections of market this year. Thank you.